Coming up here at 7 o'clock on Sunrise, our top story. The suspected killer of 4 University of Idaho students expected to plead guilty in court this morning. If this deal is sealed, it would put Bryan Kohberger in prison for the rest of his life. Plus,
the fact that it only happened 2 hours ago and he already died, that's so heartbreaking.
A fatal shooting in downtown Portland witnessed by many. What we know about the victim and the shooter.
and later, you may have noticed the cost of parking in downtown Portland went up this week. We're going to break down the new rates as KGW News at Sunrise. The 7 o'clock hour starts right now.
A very good Wednesday morning to you. Thanks for joining us. I'm Stephanie Domerat in for China this morning.
And I'm Drew Carney. We also have Chris McGinnis pulling double duty. He's handling the weather and the traffic for us on this Wednesday. So Chris, let's start with that forecast.
Can you feel it? We're halfway there, over the hump, right? It's midweek. We're eyeing a holiday weekend as well that just letting you know it looks awesome. This morning, this is the look from our Wells Fargo sky camera. And throughout the morning, it's been interesting to watch the race from the sun creeping up in the sky versus the cloud cover, which is building westward from the Cascades. So this picture has looked very similar here over the last 2 hours, but the point is that is a sign of our changing air mass, and we've gone mostly cloudy now at PDX. It's 57 degrees there. A little cloudy with some fog and mist at the beach. The live look from Lincoln City right now. You can sort of see Cascade Head off in the distance at 54 degrees there. And our Dallas camera right now is showing breezy conditions. Northwest winds gusting to 31 miles an hour there. The East Gorge and the Columbia Basin will be quite windy today. Meanwhile, the west side of the state will be enjoying a nice change in the heat that we had over the last couple of days, maybe only getting into the upper 70s for highs this afternoon with mostly sunny conditions. All right, let's get back to your drive this morning and a quick look at the traffic map. Not doing all that bad out there this morning. I've got one unusual slow spot. You see the spinning wrenches there? That is the icon that means we had a disabled vehicle out on the eastbound Banfield. It looks like that has just cleared, and so traffic is beginning to flush out after some earlier slowing there. Outside of that, we're off to a pretty good start. Drive times right now, a little busy, but not bad. 18 minutes gets you in from Troutdale to the I-5 split. 16 minutes right now on the inbound Sunset.
All right, thank you, Chris. Top story here at 7 o'clock. The man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students 3 years ago is expected to agree to a plea deal today.
Sources say the deal would keep Bryan Kohberger from facing the death penalty, but he would spend the rest of his life in prison. Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz joins us in studio now with more on this. And Thomas, what are we hearing from the victims' families?
Yeah, well, Drew and Stephanie, those families have mixed reaction to this idea of a deal. Some are for it. A spokesperson for the family of Ethan Chapin says they support the plea deal, though Kaylee Gonzalez's parents are distraught by the prosecutor's decision.
We'll never see this as justice. This isn't what we should be doing. You don't deal with terrorists and you don't deal with people who kill your kids in their sleep.
Of course, this has been a high-profile case for years after Bryan Kohberger allegedly killed Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Under the plea deal, sources say Kohberger would give up his right to appeal. Sources say families received 2 letters, one laying out the terms of the plea deal, another saying Kohberger accepted it. Regardless, experts say the judge will be focused on ensuring Kohberger understands what he is agreeing to and isn't being pushed into the deal.
The judge does not conclude those things, that it is not voluntary, that it's a product of some sort of coercion, then yeah, the judge can reject it. The judge has an affirmative duty to make that determination.
Under the plea, Kohberger must plead guilty to all murder charges, and again, he would spend the rest of his life in prison. Drew?
All right, thank you, Thomas. Coming up in our next half hour, we're going to have more reaction from people who live in Moscow, Idaho, where the murders happened. We'll also take a look at some of the key evidence against Bryan Kohberger. Again, that's coming up here at 7:30 on KGW+.
And later this morning at 10, we will be streaming live coverage from Bryan Kohberger's plea hearing on our free TV app, KGW+. Our team will hear from people in the courtroom and will be there to meet with family members immediately after the hearing. You can download KGW+ anytime on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. Developing this morning, one man was killed in a shooting right in downtown Portland yesterday afternoon across from the Central Library.
Police arrested the suspect a few blocks away and just a few minutes later. KGW's Alma McCarty walks us through what happened.
Where's the ambulance? At the corner of Southwest Yamhill and 10th Avenue, across from the Central Library,
yeah, he just got shot.
Bystanders surround a man seriously injured after a shooting on the sidewalk.
Stay with me. I can do this, okay? I know it hurts.
We deal with like a lot of like narcotics use and things like that. We are pretty used to that, but never anything this violent.
As we got near, they were like 9 people trying to assist 7 to 9 people.
But their efforts, followed by those of paramedics and other first responders, could not save the victim.
Medics were on scene pretty quickly and transported that individual to the hospital where he was pronounced deceased.
I don't know what happened, really. I really don't know what happened, but we did see him, and I'm so sorry to hear that.
The fact that it only happened 2 hours ago and he already died, that's so heartbreaking.
Within minutes of the shooting, PPB says officers tracked down the suspect through witness statements and camera footage, then took him into custody after chasing him down a couple of blocks from the scene.
I love to see the city and the vibrancy of it, but I'm saddened and angry. Once again, a conversation about the loss of life. We talk about the sanctity of life and the significance of it.
This death marking the 18th homicide of the year. At this time last year, investigators say that number was 35.
We're making a number of arrests, clearing a number of cases, and our focused intervention team and our effort around gun violence, we're still very much resolved to keeping those numbers low.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Meanwhile, deliberations are expected to continue today in the rape trial of former Trailblazers player Ben McLemore. As we continue to cover this case, we'll remind you that the details on the charges are graphic. This case stems from a 2021 house party in Lake Oswego. The prosecution says their client was intoxicated from a night of heavy drinking when she was raped. The defense claims that McLemore had also been drinking, but that the sex was consensual.
There's absolutely no confusion in this case. When you look at all the surrounding circumstances and you assess the evidence in this case, I submit to you that the defendant is guilty.
The only reasonable verdict in a case where 2 people get drunk and have sex, and the man is drunker than the woman, the only reasonable verdict in a case like that is not guilty.
McLemore took the stand in his own defense last week and denied the rape allegations.
The Clark County Medical Examiner is trying to determine how a man died after his body was found along I-205 in Vancouver. A transportation worker spotted the body yesterday afternoon in the median near 50th Avenue. It is unclear how long he had been there.
So we know Washington already had gas prices very high compared to the rest of the country, and now those prices are even higher. That's because the state's gas tax went up an extra 6 cents a gallon. It was 49 cents a gallon. It's now 55 cents. The state estimates that increase will raise more than $1 billion over the next 6 years to address a shortfall in Washington's transportation budget.
My buddies down south that are only paying like $2.50, $3. So obviously something, there's a vast discrepancy between $3 and $4.50, $4.60, and now another 6 cents.
And that man is probably the greatest interview in the history of covering the gas tax. Thank you for being there, my friend. According to AAA, the highest average gas prices in the country belong to Hawaii, California, Washington, and Oregon, in that order. Washington's average price is currently $4.42 a gallon. And this isn't the final increase for the state's gas tax. Starting next July, it'll go up another 2%.
All right, time now for the best assignment this morning, honestly. Look at this. It's a live picture from sunrise photographer Eric Patterson. He is on vacation in Croatia. What a beautiful day it is out there.
So Eric's an animal. Eric Patterson is an absolute animal. Stephanie just mentioned he's on vacation, but he is doing some good work for us this morning on the other side of the world. Well, Croatia's not that far away, but it's pretty darn far. Eric says it's early afternoon there and about 93 degrees. So it's been warm here the last few days. It's clearly warm there in Croatia today. And that's pretty impressive. I'm looking down at that castle-like structure that Eric's showing us.
Gorgeous.
I'm kind of wondering if we can't see it, but he's holding some sort of lovely beverage to go along with this.
You know what? Good point. I would like to at least see his thumb. Eric, can you give us a thumbs up while you're on vacation?
Well, maybe he's holding that beverage. Let's see.
Something.
Can he hear us?
I want some sort of Eric Patterson body part in this shot.
Okay.
Eric!
You know,
He's seen.
He
Well,
just
let's take what
attached
we
it
got.
to
It's
some
very pretty.
oscillating fan, and he's not even there,
Maybe,
really.
maybe you can't hear us when you're that far away.
He's having a great time. You can see something. Oh, there's people walking around. That's fun. Oh, that's so beautiful out there. What a lovely day.
He's shooting this like a man on vacation.
I'm convinced he's not there. He just put it on the oscillating fan, and he's out walking around.
I was thinking, Chris.
He was trying to make you think that he was this awesome Studley photographer. Really, he's just slacking.
Patterson, show your face.
I love this. He can't hear us.
He can't hear us.
He can't hear us, but it's so pretty, and it's
wild.
pretty here too, Chris.
It is, but I'd rather be where he is. Although this is a pretty nice backup here. This is our Shea Hallam tasting room camera in Sherwood. Mount Hood off in the distance. You can see the marine cloud cover that is backed up against the Cascades this morning. And in some cases, that has built back westward enough to give us a partly to mostly cloudy sky over parts of the Willamette Valley. I want to take you back 18 hours ago. We had some prolific shower and thunderstorm development across the Cascades and across central and eastern Oregon yesterday. No word on any new fire starts, but of course with lightning comes the potential of new fire starts. That shower and thunderstorm activity has diminished so far, but we could see more storms pop later today during the heat of the afternoon as you get out towards Burns, Baker City, LeGrand. I'll show you that with future casts in a second. There's the marine cloud cover that is building back westward off the Cascades. The sun up over that. It's 57 last check at PDX. Elsewhere, 55 in Tiger, 57 in Wilsonville. If we slide down to the south, 50, the cool spot on this map anyway. Corvallis right now, Albany checking in with 54 as well. All right, the plan for today, the morning clouds that have crept into the northern Willamette Valley will retreat and in fact dissipate for all but I think the north coast. The north coast will probably stay somewhat cloudy. And there is that thunderstorm development later today across eastern Oregon. So Baker City, John Day, Burns, etc. You have that outside chance of some storms. 80 this afternoon or cooler, and cooler still for Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend, guys. The dry forecast remains with the next sign of any hot weather probably holding off until early next week. Let's get you out the door with a look at the roads, and this is a live look right now at your I-5 commute, which is not bad, but it's slowing a little bit up near the Expo Center. About 28, 30 miles an hour or so your drive from the Interstate Bridge. There's a quick look at 217 near 99W for the perspective at home, the headlights that are coming towards your screen. That's the northbound 217 commute. And there's our trusty slow spot that always pops up this time of the morning, guys. That's over the Abernathy Bridge in West Linn. Your southbound drive from Morgan City to West Linn is a little slow this morning. Otherwise, not bad.
Okay, Chris, thank you. Well, coming up here on Sunrise, we caught up with Mayor Keith Wilson about the expansion of Portland's street response. Plus, parking in downtown Portland just got more expensive. A breakdown of the new metered parking rates coming up.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
Welcome back. Portland's street response is officially expanding. That is the unarmed group that responds to nonviolent calls when people are in some sort of crisis. Well, last week, Portland City Council passed a resolution to strengthen the program and eventually make it 24/7. Right now, teams run 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., but hours will soon stretch from 6 a.m. to midnight. The city's budget includes nearly $2 million to add 14 new positions with the goal of connecting more people in crisis to shelter and sobering beds.
We've normalized leaving people suffering on the street in Portland. We're one of the only cities in the nation that does that. PSR allows us, if a person is down, to rush to that person and help provide life-saving care and support. We should never drive by or walk by somebody on the street.
Not all city councilors agree with this expansion. 2 of them voted against the resolution, one of them saying it's premature.
Like putting fertilizer on a seedling without any roots, and not necessarily a good thing. That we need to reestablish those roots really firmly in Portland Street Response before we go to 24/7 or make it an independent bureau.
It's expected to be another 2 years before the team has enough staff to operate 24/7.
So starting this week, you will have to pay more to park in some of Portland's busiest areas, and that includes downtown. The Portland Bureau of Transportation updated street parking rates yesterday. So here's a look at the new hourly rates by certain districts. Downtown, it's up to $3 now. And the first hour, you should know, has an additional 60-cent fee on top of that. Central East Side is $2 more. Lloyd District, $1.80. Markham Hill, $2.60. Northwest, $2.60. PBOT also announced that it's going to have a phased extension of meter hours at nighttime between 7 and 10 p.m. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of any of this. Who would be? Who wants to pay more for parking? Probably nobody. But I'm going to say this. Chris McGinnis probably agrees with me because Chris and I don't know if you know this, both from the Philadelphia area.
I did know that, yes.
I went to school at Temple in Philadelphia. The parking enforcement in that city compared to this city is night and day. Like, I feel like it is, and I hope this doesn't change. It's pretty lax here.
Someone's going, what?
And you know, remember we talked about this last year because that had become a point in the PBOT budget, was that they needed to start
enforcing more.
Not only that, but registrations and whatnot.
Yes.
So, by the way, there are more parking officials out there checking. So that is.
I'm not.
To your point.
I haven't seen it yet. You can get away with going past. I don't suggest it, but you can get away with it. You cannot get away with it in Philadelphia.
The other thing you cannot do now, I've been seeing this more and more on Reddit, is the folks that like on side streets are like, oh, I'll just park facing the wrong way. You will get a ticket for that.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
I'm
just letting you know, you will get a ticket for that in the city of Portland.
Well, you're also driving the wrong way to park.
I just don't like the way it looks. It makes the street look disorderly.
It does look a little. All right,
One
let's get a little more orderly here. We are now into the second day of July. We did not hit 90 degrees. Of course, Rod Hill, he hit the money. He hit it on the money. He said 89 yesterday. Portland hit 89. There you go. Good job, Rod. We, so far this year, have hit 4 90-degree days all in the month of June, right? Average number of 90-degree days in any given July is 4. I've got a couple 90-degree days in my 7-day or towards the end of my 7-day forecast. But the point is that July can be quite hot. We know that, right? It's summer. Last year, we had 13 90-degree days, the all-time record 15 in 2018. And in case you're wondering, there have been 11 Julys since records started being kept at the airport in 1941, where we did not hit the 90-degree mark. That's not going to happen. High confidence in that. All right, 57 last check at PDX, 60 in King City, 77 right now in Pendleton. The east side of the state still warm, still dry, and will be quite warm today. We do have some cloud cover over downtown Portland. That will retreat as we go through the day. I am showing you those thunderstorms that popped again yesterday across the Central Oregon Cascades. Good lightning display there. Clouds retreat today, so the sunshine will return. Meanwhile, there is that threat for some thunderstorms popping across east central and eastern Oregon later this afternoon. All right, if you didn't like the heat the last couple of days, we were, 90 on Sunday, 94 on Monday, yesterday 89, 80, or maybe not, maybe upper 70s for highs today. And I do think we stay in the 70s on Thursday and for Friday, the 4th of July. So really nice, comfortable first several days of July, and then we start to turn the heat back up as we go into early next week. All right, let's get you back to the roads right now. And that is a live look up near the Expo Center. I-5 southbound, puttering along a little bit. Not bad, but that is one of our slow spots out there. 28 miles an hour is what the speed sensors indicate. We'll switch gears real quick and take you to 99W and 217. Traffic in pretty good shape there. Of course, that 217 auxiliary lanes project, they finished paving the southbound lanes last weekend, and the southbound side of that project is nearly finished. There's I-205 over the Abernathy Bridge. Traffic rolling along right now, and your drive times, a solid 20 now to get you in from Troutdale on Interstate 84 westbound to the I-5 split. Guys?
Thank you, Mr. Chris. This is what's coming up next on Sunrise. What's next for President Trump's massive spending bill, the big beautiful bill, as it's known, that just passed in the U.S. Senate. National headlines in just a moment.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
And welcome back. This morning, the House will hold a procedural vote on President Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill. This comes after the Senate passed the bill yesterday with a tie-breaking vote from Vice President J.D. Vance. NBC's Alice Barr brings us the latest from Washington, D.C.
This morning, the big bill back in the hands of the House with the pressure on to get it to President Trump's desk by Friday.
I think it will be easier in the House than it was in the Senate.
To meet the timeline, the House can't make any changes to the Senate version. Some members already raising objections as Speaker Mike Johnson promises to pass the president's domestic policy agenda.
We're working through that, talking to all members and all caucuses and everybody else. But we remain optimistic we're going to land this plane.
Planes posing problems of their own with stormy weather canceling flights across the country. Some House members hitting the road.
Let's go deliver on President Trump's agenda.
To make it back to vote as soon as today.
We're going to drive overnight.
Including Democrats united in trying to stop what they call
this one big ugly bill that will rip health care away from millions of Americans.
It all comes after the Senate narrowly passed the bill with a tie-breaking vote from Vice President J.D. Vance.
Vice President votes in the affirmative.
All Democrats and 3 Republicans voted no, including Senator Rand Paul, who criticized a carve-out softening Medicaid cuts in Alaska to win over Senator Lisa Murkowski.
To get the vote of the Alaska senator, billions and billions and billions more were added.
My response is, I have an obligation to the people of the state of Alaska. Do I like this bill? No, because I tried to take care of Alaska's interests.
The Medicaid cuts aimed at offsetting the bill's extended Trump tax cuts, plus no tax on tips and overtime, and funding for defense and deportations. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And this just into our newsroom. NBC News is reporting the jury has reached a verdict in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. He was facing 5 separate charges, including racketeering and sex trafficking. The jury found Combs not guilty of racketeering, not guilty of sex trafficking, and guilty for 2 counts of engaging in prostitution. This is a live look right now outside of that courtroom in Manhattan. We will continue to update you as we learn more about this. Meantime, investigators are sharing new details about the search for Travis Decker, the man charged with murdering his 3 young daughters last month near Leavenworth. Police confirmed 2 bloody handprints found at the scene are a DNA match for Decker. The National Park Service is now planning to use swiftwater rescue teams to more thoroughly search lakes and rivers in that area. President Donald Trump says Israel has agreed to the necessary conditions to finalize a ceasefire deal in Gaza. On Truth Social, President Trump wrote that during the 60-day ceasefire, he and his representatives will work with all parties to end the Israel-Hamas war. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to visit the White House on Monday. A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration's plan to dismantle the Department of Health and Human Services, ruling that recent mass layoffs were likely unlawful. The judge ordered a pause on any further downsizing. And that's your morning rush. Coming up next in the half hour here on Sunrise, a closer look at the case against Bryan Kohberger, the suspected killer of 4 Idaho students. He is expected to plead guilty in just a few hours. We will be there in the courtroom. Plus, a local asylum seeker held by ICE is set to be released. What we know about him and the 4 others arrested outside Portland courtrooms. Coming up after this.
KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
We are coming up on 7:29 on our Wednesday morning drive. I want to pick it up over in the Westland area, I-205 southbound, actually from Oregon City to Westland. We're a little slow getting over the Abernathy Bridge, and that's pretty normal for this hour of a Wednesday morning drive. To Wilsonville we go. Speeds actually pick up north of Wilsonville, but it's getting up and over the Boone Bridge from Charbonneau to Wilsonville Road. The traffic is a little slow at this point, and a quick check of the drive through North Portland. Of course, slow and steady over the Interstate Bridge. We're looking at about 16 minutes or so to get you in from Main Street south to I-405. There's a live look from downtown Portland. Cloud cover has worked its way into the Cascades this morning, a sign of that changing air mass, as in the hot weather from yesterday is on its way out, right? We're 57 degrees at the airport. We do have morning clouds, but as Futurecast shows you, those clouds will retreat as we go through the day today. There is the chance for some thunderstorms east side of the state, especially if you get out towards Baker County. The rest of us, though, will enjoy slightly cooler temperatures, or significantly cooler temperatures, I should say. Go from about 89 yesterday to 80 this afternoon, 78 on Thursday, upper 70s on Friday.
7:30 half hour of the Sunrise Show, and we start with this, a shot from Paris, France. Why are we showing you this? We showed you this a lot last summer during the Olympics.
Oh, the balloon.
Why are we talking about it again? Well, here's why. That balloon, that Olympic balloon / torch flame thing, it is back in Paris, France. So last year we saw this balloon lifting off throughout the course of the games. People loved it. They said, we want more of it. So that balloon is going to lift off into the sky each summer evening between June and September for the next 3 years, leading to the next summer games in Los Angeles. Yeah. And you may remember there was a simulated fire here. It's a flame without an actual flame. The lift of that balloon comes just from helium, so there's no actual flame, no burner, no gas involved with that balloon.
Games wanted to be green
Yes.
last year.
Yep, exactly. So there it is, the return of that Olympic balloon in Paris, France.
How cool is that? I love that. There's already so much beautiful scenery there, but that's another thing.
Never been to Paris. We established earlier. I've never been. Have you?
I have, yeah.
Okay. Have you?
I have not. No.
Okay.
My wife has. Do I get that by proxy?
Sure.
We also
had studied there for a while.
We had Croatia on the Sunrise Show earlier this morning. So
International show.
We are covering the world.
We're going to have to start going intergalactic. We'll get the folks on the space station watching us soon. Well, you know what I think would be cool is why don't we take that balloon, by the way, and let's bring that to.
Bring that to where?
The next games.
Oh,
I was
Los
really
Angeles.
wondering where you're going
Yes.
with that. All the way to Los
well, we
Angeles.
could bring it to Portland too. That'd be
Like
cool.
around the world in 80 days.
The LA games. Yep.
I like it.
Although LA probably wants to put their own stamp on it. All right, let's go ahead and give you the live look from downtown Portland. We have a little bit of cloud cover over the region this morning. I just thoroughly derailed that. Sorry, 57 last check at the airport. We were 55 in Scappoose, 56 in Beaverton. In the big perspective across the state, one of the warmer spots right now, Pendleton at 77 degrees. There is the outside chance of some thunderstorms east of the Cascades today. West side of the state, morning clouds, noticeably cooler. After 3 days of 90s or near 90 degree heat, we were 89 yesterday. Today, we may not get out of the 70s for highs this afternoon, and we will keep that trend going into the next few days as well. All right, here's a live look at your drive time right now. The slowest spot, one of the slower spots, I-5 southbound, getting in from Main Street. That's about a 15-minute commute from Main Street down to the Fremont Bridge. And the drive times elsewhere are picking up a little bit. Of course, more folks on the road right now. I-84 westbound is about a 23-minute ride to get you in from Troutdale. And here's one of the notorious slow spots this hour of a really any morning commute Monday through Friday, right? We're looking at Oregon City. There's the Abernathy Bridge, of course. There's north and southbound 205 puttering along a little bit. So far, guys, we've been relatively unscathed on the freeways. No major trouble out there just yet.
All right, in just a few hours, Brian Koberger, the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students in 2022, is expected to plead guilty to all charges against him.
Koberger's hearing in Boise is scheduled for 10 o'clock our time. Now, sources close to the case say while the plea deal avoids the death penalty, it does mean Koberger will spend the rest of his life in prison and give up his right to appeal. At least some of the victims' families are expected to be in court. During the hearing scheduled, all details of the plea agreement are expected to be shared. It's ultimately up to the judge to accept the agreement, something he won't do without first ensuring the defendant understands the conditions of the agreement. If the judge accepts, the next step will be a sentencing hearing, which could still be several weeks away. And now ahead of the hearing, we are getting mixed reaction from people living there, the college town where the murders happened.
That's right. Some say the plea deal is worth it, so the case is over and the community can have true healing. Others, though, say that Koberger should have faced the death penalty here.
I believe scriptural mandates are that when you take a life, you lose a life. And I think if anything less than that, I'm not real satisfied.
In my opinion, if you get life in prison, it is the same as the death penalty. I know it doesn't give people that same sense of justice knowing that they were taken off the earth, But to me, if they have to spend every waking hour in prison instead of being out in this world, that's the death penalty either way.
It would have been cathartic to see him dragged into court and to have all the evidence of the case scrutinized again.
I think it'll be really good for this whole trial to wrap up. I feel like every time there's an update in the trial, this town gets more, it reminds them back to when it happened. So I feel like it gets more and more stressful for the community.
It also would have continued to keep the spotlight on a community that maybe doesn't want the spotlight on them anymore. Maybe it's time for there to be true healing, to know that there's been resolution.
No, I think life in prison is better than the death penalty. I think that kind of gives you an out. You don't have to suffer as much, not really suffering, but I think he deserves to rot in prison.
Well, I think we'll appreciate the closure, but justice is part of that. And if we don't have justice, I'm not sure that's closure. And he took 4 lives, innocent lives. I think he should pay with his.
Anticipation of today's plea deal comes after a judge denied several motions by Kohberger's defense team to get some evidence tossed from the trial. Reporter Jessica Janner Castro catches us up on the state's case.
This first piece of substantial evidence laid out in the case is the knife sheath found next to one of the victims at the crime scene. Investigators say there was DNA found on it that was linked to Brian Kohberger through genetic genealogy. After he was on their radar, police learned Kohberger drove a white Hyundai Elantra, a vehicle of interest in the case. The car was seen circling the neighborhood before the murders and was caught on camera speeding away from the area after the students were killed. Another piece of key evidence has to do with Kohberger's phone records. At the time of the murders, he was living in Pullman and was a criminology student at Washington State University. The campus is about 15 minutes from where the students were found dead in Moscow. Investigators say cell phone data shows at 2:47 a.m. the morning of the murders, Kohberger left his home and drove south through Pullman before his phone was turned off. The phone was turned back on at 4:48 a.m., about 30 minutes after the 4 students were believed to have been killed. Prosecutors also presented Kohberger's search history as part of evidence. Court documents show he bought a knife and knife sheath on Amazon months before the killings. Records obtained by Dateline show he went back to Amazon after the murders to shop for a knife. He even clicked buy now and began the checkout process before exiting.
And this morning at 10 o'clock, we will be live streaming the coverage from Brian Kohberger's plea hearing on our free TV app, KGW+. Our team will hear from people in the courtroom and will be there to meet with family members immediately after the hearing. You can download KGW+ anytime on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. An asylum seeker picked up by ICE outside a Portland courtroom is set to be released.
A federal judge ruled that the government had no legal basis for detaining him. The 24-year-old from Mexico, who had been living in Newport, was arrested on June 5th after showing up for an immigration hearing in downtown Portland. His attorneys say he had no criminal history and followed all the needed requirements since he applied for asylum protection here in the U.S. And he was also issued work authorization just the day before police detained him.
Individuals seeking safety in this country are allowed to lawfully do that. And they are going through a process and being detained in this case, even despite following every single rule. It's really important that we understand the humanity behind these sweeping statistics and understand how it is the government, not these individuals, who is taking unlawful action here.
It is still not clear, though, if he's been released yet from the ICE facility in Tacoma. That man is one of at least 5 asylum seekers that have been arrested outside court in downtown Portland.
In another case, witnesses recorded ICE agents pulling a man and his mother over after their immigration hearing. The Innovation Law Lab says it has seen cases in 19 states where the government requests an immigration case be dismissed, and then as soon as the person leaves court, they are arrested. Well, firefighters say kids playing with fireworks started a fire in Portland's Hazelwood neighborhood. The flames then jumped to a house and a school playground. Yesterday marked the first official day of wildfire season. Fire officials hope this serves as a warning to people to be extra careful with fireworks, especially as we approach the 4th of July holiday.
Fire will be pushed by wind right up. A fire starts on the side of a parking lot. Oh, it's safe, no problem. Small fire in grass, into vegetation, into a structure.
In Washington County, another fire broke out yesterday that may be connected to a smoldering burn pile.
We also want to remind you this morning that fireworks are banned everywhere in the city of Portland except for licensed professional shows. So that means it is illegal to sell them and illegal to use them anywhere in the city. If you set off fireworks in the city, you could face citations, fines, or even jail time if the fireworks you use injure somebody or start a fire.
Well, just in time for the 4th of July, an Alabama man is celebrating his patriotic spirit in a very unique way. This is such a fun story. This 85-foot-tall Statue of Liberty here is his latest masterpiece, painted with a pressure washer. Creating this work of art took patience and skill, as you may imagine, and technology also played a big part.
I use my drone. I could not do this without the drone, because what I will do is fly the drone above me, like right now, and actually watch myself down here, and then I can see the whole picture, and I make reference points with the sidewalk chalk. It's one of my favorite holidays. I love to celebrate our country.
What's so cool is earlier we ran this story in a longer form, and he said that it takes 3 years for the sidewalk or his driveway to get dirty enough with enough mold to be able to do this. But it's so cool.
No, the detail is amazing. He lives by the slogan, "Give me liberty or give me a pressure washer."
Does he?
Yes.
That's pretty good.
That's out of Alabama again, Chris. They do
so
things
good.
a little differently there in Alabama.
Very satisfying pressure washing pretty much anything.
Yes.
Have you ever done it? It's
Oh, yeah.
like, if you need to get some pent up feelings out, it's
whatever,
good.
yeah.
All right, well, let's get you out the door. Here's a look right now of the satellite radar loop across the region. Showers and thunderstorms were prolific across the central Oregon Cascades and across parts of eastern Oregon last night. That's what this is showing you. We're going back 18 hours here. Numerous lightning strikes, of course. No word yet on any new fire starts, but of course with thunder and lightning comes the potential for fire starts. So something we'll keep an eye on. There is a threat for fire spread, or at least conditions that would be favorable for proliferating the spread of fire in the East Corridor. I'll get to that in a second. For now, I wanted to show you this. Futurecast shows the cloud cover that has worked its way into the northern Willamette Valley. That will retreat and basically fizzle as we go through the rest of the day today. There is the chance of thunderstorms this afternoon from about Baker City down to Klamath Falls and points east. So if you're east of that line, Burns, Baker City, LeGrand, there is a chance for some storms for you folks. Wind, this is where we're going with East Gorge and Columbia Basin. West winds are really going to be whipping through that part of the state today, gusting 40 to 45 miles an hour. So for that reason, the Weather Service has that part of our viewing area in the Columbia Basin under a red flag warning for, again, the potential of conditions that would favor the spread of fire should one pop. Not that there is one, and that's good for now. But it will be warm out there, 94 this afternoon in Pendleton. Meanwhile, Futurecast keeps the Willamette Valley and the I-5 corridor in the upper 70s today. Not bad, huh? Hey, meet today's hashtag KGW Dog of the Day. Meet Norman and Drew, or Dewey, I should say, not Drew, Dewey. If you want to get a proper sunrise shout out to your favorite four-legged friend, use that email that you see on the bottom of your screen, dog of the day, all one word, at kgw.com. You do that, and we'll do the shout out part. All right, here's your 7-day forecast. Cool and comfortable, or cool-ish, cooler and more comfortable over the next couple of days. Heat does return early next week. All right, let's get you out the door with a look at the roads, and for that, we start off with a traffic map, which is getting a little slow in some parts of town. We'll zoom in real quick. One of those spots in the Gladstone area, zooming in 205 southbound, puttering along at about 20, 25 miles an hour or so from Gladstone to Westland over the Abernathy Bridge. Hopping up to North Portland, the I-5 southbound commute a little slow as well near Columbia Boulevard. Right now that trip to get you in from Clark County is 17 minutes. That's a little misleading, guys, because the end of the line has actually made its way across the interstate bridge. But once you do, if you're about to hop on the roads, that's where the backup starts, right up around the Expo Center. The rest of the drive times not doing all that bad on a Wednesday morning.
All right, Chris, thank you for that. Still to come here on the Sunrise Show, we're talking about the Timbers expanding. Not expanding their roster, not expanding the playbook. They're actually expanding their footprint here in the city. We'll have more on the team's plan to buy 13 acres for a new training facility. That story after this.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news, live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
Welcome back. The Portland Timbers have made a big investment in the club's future, buying 13 acres of land from the Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District to expand its existing training facility. Our Art Edwards brings us the details.
This is familiar territory for the Portland Timbers. They've been training here since 2011, using space they lease from the Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District. 2 fields and space in the buildings on the property. Over the years, they have expanded and invested millions in upgrades. Now, that has changed.
We own this entire 13-acre site. We're going to be able to put in a best-in-class performance center. It's going to be amazing. It's a huge investment in the future of the club.
Total investment will be about $40 million. The facility will be known as the Portland Timbers Performance Facility. The expansion will include a second grass field to give them 3 fields overall, a viewing deck to watch training, and expanded office space.
I think it's a game changer for us. Without a shadow of a doubt, I think we will have the best training facility in the Pacific Northwest, for sure. It's a big commitment from the ownership, and we're really, really excited.
Club owner Merritt Paulson said they had been working on this deal for about 4 years. He called it a tremendously complex deal.
It wasn't just about the purchase. We obviously had to find THPRD another home for their fleet. Beside that gate right there where their fleet is parked, they had to find a home for, and it had to be in this general vicinity.
This project isn't just about the Portland Timbers and developing a top-tier training facility. Beaverton's mayor says this is a big win for the city.
This is turning a Parks and Rec facility into an economic engine that's going to start paying property taxes. And for Beaverton, that's a really big deal.
The club will also donate over $1 million to THPRD to help fund participation and access to sports for underserved youth. The hope is to have the initial renovations done sometime next year. Art Edwards, KGW News.
All right, from that timber story from Art Edwards, we take you to Providence Park. A live look at Providence Park in downtown Portland. Timbers, by the way, are playing there this weekend. So they have the 4th of July holiday off on Friday, but the Timbers are in action at home on Saturday, taking on the New England Revolution at 7:30 Saturday night.
Did I ask what time's kickoff?
There you go.
7:30 Saturday night. Do you have a forecast
About an
for us?
hour and a half before sunset. Temperatures will probably be in the low to mid 70s.
That feels perfect.
That is
I love that.
Summertime at its finest in Portland. Let's get you out the door right now with a look at the temperature map across the region. Here we are, 57 now. At PDX, 61 King City, the big perspective across the state. Pretty warm out across the Columbia Basin and east of the Cascades this morning. 77 right now in Pendleton. We're in the mid-60s in John Day. There is a ongoing thunderstorm threat south of a line from about Baker City to Klamath Falls this afternoon. I'll show you that with Futurecast in a second. West side of the state, though, waking up to a little bit of cloud cover, and Futurecast bears that out here. You can see our modeling. I'll stop the clock at 10:30. Those clouds will retreat back up the mouth of the Columbia and fizzle for most of us The north coast may not clear out today. You may stay fairly cloudy in Clatsop County and on up to the Long Beach Peninsula. But I'd say from Tillamook and Point South, you should go from partly to mostly sunny. The farther south along the Oregon coast you go. And I did mention again that ongoing threat later today from about Baker City to, let's say, John Day and then south to Cave Falls and Points East. So Burns, that includes you, Harney County, Ontario, slight chance of an afternoon thunder shower. The storms yesterday were really prolific across the central Oregon Cascades. Not expected to be nearly that east of the Cascades today, but still the threat. Also, gusty west winds will be whipping through the East Gorge and the Columbia Basin. So for that reason today, there is an elevated fire risk. A red flag warning for high fire danger exists across that part of the state, specifically from 2 to about 9 o'clock, so right around sunset. All right, temperature-wise today, this is Futurecast, and our modeling is at least Futurecast. This particular model, which is the graph model, it's insistent on keeping Portland in the 70s. Now, I have us at 80 today, but the point is that is a 11-degree, 10-degree difference from yesterday. So a noticeable cool down begins today, and I think will be even a degree or two cooler tomorrow. Meanwhile, the East Gorge and the Columbia Basin will still be quite warm this afternoon. And as I mentioned, the west wind really whipping out towards the Dalles. It's already been gusting to 35 miles an hour this morning, so that's already verifying. Eastern Oregon, again, that chance for storms. Still warm out towards Baker City, maybe not as warm as recent days, but 88's warm enough, up around 4,000 feet, right? Lower 60s in Astoria today with the afternoon clearing. Central Oregon, slight chance of a shower for the eastern quadrant of your area. So like from Prineville, eastern Crook County. I think when you get into places like Sun River and Bend, you'll probably be dry today and mostly sunny. Mostly sunny for sure up and down the I-5 corridor, and for sure cooler than yesterday. PDX stopped just short of 90. 89 was yesterday's high. Today, 80, maybe not. And I think an even higher likelihood that we do not get out of the 70s on both Thursday and 4th of July Friday. So one of the more comfortable 4th of July weekend forecasts that we've had in recent years. Let's get you back to the drive. I'm zoomed in on the Woodland area. Why? Nothing going on at this moment, but WashDOT is going to be doing some road maintenance on I-5 southbound, about a 20-mile stretch from Kalama down to the Ridgefield area. And so for that, they're going to have to intermittently close a southbound lane to do that. So at some point today, there will be some maybe unexpected southbound I-5 congestion between Cowlitz and Clark County on that stretch of your drive. Elsewhere on the freeway system, we'll zoom in, driving out of the Gladstone area, 205 southbound. Again, this is normal for this hour. The Wednesday morning commute, slow and go from there over to the Abernathy Bridge. The drive through North Portland is also pretty heavy, but the end of the line out of Clark County has made its way out of Clark County. So if you hit the freeways now, most of this 21 minutes is once you get south of the Interstate Bridge. Stephanie?
All right, Chris, thank you. And still ahead, it is that time of year when getting into your car might feel miserable if it's been sitting in the sun. So do tinted car windows help? Our Verify team takes a look after the break.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yeah.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On weather impact alert days, stream extended coverage on KGW+.
Welcome back. Every car owner knows a hot day can feel even worse when you climb into a car that's been sitting in the sun. Our Verify team looks at whether darker windows can actually reduce the heat inside your car.
Verify here with your fast fact. Nobody enjoys that feeling when you open your car door on a hot summer day and it feels like an oven. Verify viewer M emailed us to ask if tinting her windows can help keep the inside cooler. So M, let's verify using these sources. The inside of a car gets hot because the sun's UV rays penetrate the glass. The energy from the rays is then absorbed by the surfaces and released as heat that gets trapped inside. All of our sources say tinting your windows can help block some of the sun's rays and keep the interior of your car a few degrees cooler. The exact amount depends on the darkness and quality of the tint and which windows are tinted. So, yes, tinted windows reduce heat inside of a car. Tinting rules vary by state, so make sure to check the laws where you live. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Meanwhile, as we move into the two hottest months of the year, July and August, the city of Portland is helping residents in need by giving out AC units. This is part of an expanded program aimed at helping low-income residents and seniors. It's called the Cooling Portland program. It started after the 2021 heat dome that killed nearly 100 people in Oregon. We talked to someone who just got a new AC unit from this program.
When it's hot, I just lay on the ground and try to keep everything still. And here with the air, I can do all kinds of things. I can paint, I can clean, it's going to be wonderful.
To find out if you qualify for an AC unit, you can reach out to the city by calling 311. Chances are, though, at this point, you'll probably have to deal with a wait list.
And coming up at 8, KGW Sunrise continues live here on KGW Plus with continuing coverage of the plea deal hearing of Bryan Kohberger.
Plus, we'll have reaction from the state of Washington as gas prices there grow even higher. That's because of the gas tax increase. We'll have more on what people think about the change.
And we'll leave you with a live look outside at 7:56 on your Wednesday. We'll be right back right after this.